things I forgot to do. Yes. Okay. Replay with some modifications. So, good evening, good morning to everyone. This is day 6 of our daily practice for this New Year season. The practice of clearing karmic obscurations. So at the beginning of the program, I had talked a little bit about the choice of the word clearing, purifying. So purification is the word that in English that is used to translate the Tibetan to the verb to chang, and sometimes sang, sometimes chang. Often it's used to purify, to cleanse, to clear. At least in English, the word to purify, when you say you're purifying something, after the purification, something remains and something is removed, right? Just like when we say, I am cleaning, so you can say, I'm purifying gold, right? When you say you're purifying gold, so that means like gold ore, you're burning and smelting, then that which is not gold is burnt away. I'm washing cloth, right? So cloth, if you're successful, cloth remains. That which is not cloth, that was temporarily coexisting with the cloth, that is removed, right? So then in that sense, when we say, if we say purifying karmic obscuration, then that doesn't make any sense, right? Because it means, I'm going to put karmic obscurations into this washing machine, and then if I'm successful, karmic obscurations will still come out. That which is not karmic obscurations is gone, right? No, that's not what we're talking about. So maybe, I think in English, clearing karmic obscurations is good. So body, speech, and mind remains, so to say. But the karmic obscurations of body, speech, and mind are cleared. The clearing of karmic obscurations. Spring cleaning. So this is spring season coming. We can say the spring cleaning, so that karmic obscurations are removed, are done with. We said, okay, I'm done playing with you guys. You can go now. Thank you for visiting. No, thank you for staying. Tata. We say the karmic obscurations. I also pointed out that in part because there are some previously more restricted teachings, meaning teachings that weren't so openly circulated so that they could be misinterpreted in the old days. Yeah, only when a qualified teacher feels that a student is ready, has arrived at a point where they can understand correctly what this means. There are some of these teachings that will say something like, to refine karmic obscurations, or to refine the kleshas, the afflictive emotions. So even there, what they are saying, it sounds as if that you are refining so that somehow afflictive emotions become pure. That's not what it is saying. Afflictive emotions, by definition, are afflictive emotions. When we say refining, making afflictive emotions, refining afflictive emotions, kleshas, is to make afflictive emotions more fine, right? But it's not saying that you're improving afflictive emotions. Again, there, what it's saying is afflictive emotions are cleared, removed. Then what remains, for lack of a better word, you can say, is the energy, tsel in Tibetan, that coexisted with the afflictive emotions. While afflictive emotions brings suffering, the energy itself doesn't. And that energy itself is the shine, is the, poetically, it's the radiance of our mind. And what does the radiance of our mind mean? We're not talking about light. We're talking about the mind's ability to know. The ability to know is distorted. So it goes about knowing afflictive emotions. When the kleshas are removed, when confusion is removed, the ability to know, that knowing quality, is what we call Buddha. Buddha is the one who knows. The one who is awake and therefore the one who knows. So in these very previously guarded, carefully guarded, not simply just publish, here, there, everywhere, so that everybody can read and then misunderstand, it is said that you will refine, or even like expressions like you will take the afflictive emotions as your path. There's that expression, to take the afflictive emotions as your path. But nowhere in there is it saying afflictive emotions will become a cause for happiness. It's the abandonment of afflictive emotions, the clearing of afflictive emotions, that will bring about our deepest desire. Our deepest desire is actually Buddha nature, functioning as Buddha nature. So from that perspective, there is no desire even. It's just the way Buddha nature is. Radiant, spacious, without obscurations. The cloth, the gold that is always there. But now, coexisting, coinciding with the kleshas, the afflictive emotions, the karmic obscurations. So that's what this practice helps us to do. So page 4. In the space before us, we see the Buddha, the Lord of Sages, surrounded by unfathomable root and lineage gurus, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas. Dungye namka dumba dupe wambola gur tsa ju ki lama dan sanje chansen pak du mebe gurne zu par zon. So now let me get my list. So we will start with Antonio, if you can read on page 4, please. Please unmute yourself, if possible. Not possible. Jesper, can you make sure that people can unmute themselves?
I and all mother sentient beings, extensive as space, take refuge in the root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in perfect Buddhas, the transcendent conquerors. We take refuge in the holy Dharma, free from attachment and peaceful nirvana. We take refuge in the noble assembly of bodhisattvas endowed with realization and liberation.
다단 조와 마르규 남게 다단 냠베 셈젠 탐제 자와단 규베 라마 남라 겹수 주 산제 사 소베 산제 좀 덴데 남라 겹수 주 슈바 자자 담베 주 남라 겹수 주 리도 니덴 겹세 파베 So namla kyabzu ju dadan roba margyu namge dadan nyambe senjen damje tsawada gyube lama namla kyabzu ju sanju sobe sanje chum dende namla kyabzu ju shiva chada dambe cho namla kyabzu ju rito niden gyase pape so namla kyabzu ju 다단 조와 마르규 남게 다단 냠베 센젠 담제 자와 규베 라마 남라 겹수 주 소베 산제 좀 덴데 남라 겹수 주 시와 차자 담베 조 남라 겹수 주 리도 니덴 겹세 파베 소 남라 겹수 주 Sandra, if you could read page 5, the 4 immeasurables.
All mother sentient beings who have not realized that a self and all appearances are by nature dharmadhatu have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they not be separated from the happiness which is free from suffering. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
다다 나와 담제 저기 인기 랑진 yen 발라 대다르마도 베심젠 담제 대와 당 대외 규단 덴브라 규지 동야당 동야기 규단 드와 규지 동야 메페 대와 담에 드와 규지 내린 자다 니단 드와 담령란 하브라 규지 다다 나와 담제 저기 인기 란진 인발라 대다르마 토베 셈젠 담제 대와단 대외 규단 덴브라 규지 동야단 동야기 규당 드와 규지 동야 메페 대와 담에 드와 규지 내린 자다 니단 드웨 당령라 나브라 규지 다다 나와 담제 저기 인기 란신 발라 대다르마 토베 셈젠 담제 대와다 대외 규단 덴브라 규지 동야당 동야기 규단 드와 규지 동야 메페 대와 담에 드와 규지 내린 차단 니단 드웨 당령라 나브라 규지 Randy?
May I swiftly attain the sublime state of perfectly complete awakening for the sake of all mother sentient beings. For this purpose, I shall make offerings to the 35 Buddhas, and having invoked their heart pledge, I shall engage in the practice of confessing downfalls.
Ma simchen tamche ki tundu nirwa yang tambra sube sanjen ki kumpang rinpo che dombara je de jidu dewa sheba sumchu tsanga chujing tudam kune tungwa shabe chogala chukpara cho. The objects of refuge dissolve into you. Now please let your body and mind settle into their own places. Settling naturally, trusting that when you get out of the way, when you put aside busyness, when you put aside your plans, your agenda, you're wanting it to be this way and that way. When you put aside when you get out of the way, both body and mind will find their own places of evenness, of equipoise, of balance, of rest and ease. Let your body ease into itself. Let your mind settle evenly into itself. Empty yourself of self. Empty yourself of plans, of ideas, of this and that, should be not, ought to, ought not to. Temporarily, no need to do any of those things, but just to let body and mind settle. If it is helpful, you could use the arising and dissolving of breath as it is felt, as each breath is felt, arising and dissolving, can be an object of focus, an object of mindfulness. Rising, dissolving, rising, dissolving. As breath arises, there is energy, there is brightness, there is vigor. As breath dissolves, there is ease, spaciousness, and rest. These can be recognized as two aspects of the nature of your mind. It is luminous and it is empty. As you breathe in with that luminosity, with that clarity. As you breathe out, touch that emptiness, spaciousness, and rest. Within the movement of the mind, there is stillness. Within the stillness of the mind, the power of movement is right there. Practicing in this way, whether the mind is still or moving, does not become an obstacle anymore. Now the invitation to the 35 Buddhas, starting on the bottom of page 9 to the end of the section on page 10, where it says, please come and cause our store of merit to increase. Up until there, Lucrezia, if you can read this section.
Yes. Compassionate, transcendent conquerors, dwelling in the 10 directions, please heed us. In the past, when you, the 35 compassionate, transcendent conquerors, engaged in bodhisattva deeds, you aroused bodhicitta and vowed to cleanse the obscuration of wandering beings in times when the generations are rampant. Following this pledge, in order to protect us helpless wandering beings, today we invite you to safeguard and stand by us as our last resort. Having come, regard us with eyes of compassion and purify our faults and downfalls. Please come and cause our store of merit to increase.
Jujuna jube jumdende tuje jampoidan tempa namdala gongsu so jumdende tuje jampoidan tempa sumju sanga boge namgon jangju sempe jepa jobeze ne ma do thowa namki de ba jongwa thuge jing tu tham ji dara sheba de shin du den da cha gumen gi thowa gyobe le du gongkyap dam punyen du ne du chen dren jin jina tu je jing gi jine da cha gi ni thon chung shin so nam gi so be we le du jom bran jin Now, the bottom of page 22, seeing that all the 35 Buddhas have arrived, all are dressed in the style of a renunciate Nirmanakaya and adorned with the 32 excellent marks and 80 minor marks, such as the crown protuberance and wheels on the feet. With their 60 aspects of melodious speech, they proclaim the clear sound of the Mahayana teachings. As their minds do not move from Vajra like Samadhi, they clearly understand all objects of knowledge in the 3 times. Their bodies are garbed in the 3 Dharma robes. The garlands of light shine like the sun from their bodies to alleviate the pain of miserable destinies. With eyes opened wide like lotus petals, they behold me and all sentient beings with great compassion. Upon merely beholding them, these great beings effortlessly accomplish the temporary and ultimate purposes of all sentient beings, abiding with their legs in Vajra posture. As we raise beautiful parasols with golden handles, delightfully adorned all around, with pleasing forms so lovely to behold, we make unceasing offerings to the lords of sages. Page 36. Middle of page 36, in that section. So that section, Omar, can you please read that section starting on page 36? Then, Claudia, can you read the top of 37 until right before the mantra?
To those, in as many words as exist in the 10 directions, all of the lions among humans, the Tathagatas of the 3 times, to all of them without exception, I prostrate with faithful body, speech, and mind. Through the power of this prayer for excellent conduct, may all the victorious ones vividly appear in my mind. With bodies as numerous as atoms in the universe, I respectfully bow down and pay homage to all the victorious ones.
In a single atom residing amidst their bodhisattva sons, there are as many Buddhas as there are atoms in the entire world. In the same way, I imagine the entire Dharma expanse to be completely filled with victorious ones, with inexhaustible oceans of praise and oceans of melodious sounds extolling the noble qualities of the victorious ones. I praise all the Sugatas. To all those worthy of honor, while offering praise with supreme faith, I bow unceasingly with bodies as numerous as dust motes in the universe.
Back to page 36 in the middle. Engineer Suda Juju Jidena Dusum Sheba Miye Senge Gwen Dagi Malu Deda Tamjela Ludang Ayi Dangwe Jagi Wo Zambo Jobe Molam Tobdagi Gyawa Tamje Yiki Ngunsumdu Shingi Dunye Lura Tumbaye Gyawa Kunla Rabdu Chaselo Duje Dena Dunye Sanje Seki Una Shubada Deda Jogi Ina Maluba Tamje Gyawa Dagi Gama Mo Deda Ngaba Mize Gyazona Yangi Yenla Gyazo Dragunji Gyawa Kunji Yonten Rabzoji Dewa Sheba Tamje Dagi Do Chaja Oba Tamje La Shindu Gungi Dhanegi Ludu Bayi Namkundu Chodu Debe Tobarji. Now page 38. It's making of offerings to all the 35 Buddhas and all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Arhats and Pratyeka Buddhas of all times and directions. So here, before we do this section, I want to take this opportunity to again share with you some visuals, some images. Jesper, if you can pull up those images that I posted on Facebook of Bodhihat Sanctuary in Malaysia, if you can share screen. So as you know, we are offering lanterns. Hold on, Jasper, can you make your screen bigger? Like, yeah. Go back where you were. No. Corner, top right corner. Yeah, do that. Oh, okay, I see. Do that again, okay. Yeah, so here, these are the lanterns that are hung at Bodhihat Sanctuary. Bodhihat Sanctuary is a relatively vast area. So this one is in front of the memorial hall. This is an image of Avalokiteshvara in the Chinese tradition, known as Kuan Yin. And so here are the lanterns. Yeah. So next. This is another area. This is the Bodhi tree area. And there are also lanterns. And you see, you are not able to see so clearly, but the walls around there, basically on the wall there are little images of Buddhas. And the tradition in Asia is that people will sponsor the Buddhas, by offering a set amount of money, and then the names of the sponsors are put underneath each of the Buddhas. This is a way for people to provide support and make connection to temples, to retreat centers, so that then other people can go to retreat centers, go to temples, and not having to, like every event say, oh, this cost this much, this cost this much. So this is a good way to kind of get all the needs of the temple, of the retreat center met, without always having to say to people, this is this much or that is that much. Next. This is in the main practice hall of Bodhihat Sanctuary, is the main Buddha. This is a huge hall. We don't have pictures of this hall. Maybe some other day Leonard can take pictures from the very end of the hall to show us this whole hall. It's a huge hall. So if you ever have the opportunity to come with me to Malaysia, we can do a retreat and have our main sessions in this main hall. This Buddha, go back to the Buddha. This Buddha used to sit outside of this hall, more kind of embedded in nature. But the tradition in Asia, many people found that a little uncomfortable. There's a feeling like, oh, the Buddha is left outside in rain and heat. And so eventually the center succumbed to popular opinion and brought the Buddha inside because it's culturally uncomfortable. But for, of course, some of us, we felt that was very nice that the Buddha was outside, because Buddha lived all his life, out in nature. But anyway, these are just some cultural comfort and discomfort. Next. This is a stupa that is on the premises as well. This is the Enlightenment stupa. Next. A close shot of the Kuan Yin, the Avalokiteshvara. So behind Kuan Yin, if you see, there's a little fence And on the fence, the names of all of you who have sponsored the lanterns, written in this wood placard and then hung on that fence. Because it's a little bit hard to put the names up on each of the lanterns since they are, high up there. So instead, it's put on that fence, the names of the sponsors of lanterns. Next. That's the sign, Bodhi Heart Sanctuary, that greets you when you get to the center. Next. That is another area. Here is the Bodhisattva, Earth Treasury Bodhisattva, Shittigarbha, or Dizang in Chinese. Yeah. Another shot of the lanterns. Next. This is the garden right next to the Bodhi tree with the Buddha. Another area. This area is good for outdoor meditation. There's a seated area to the right of this Buddha, kind of like bleacher seats in the stadium, on the right side of this Buddha. Next. These are some of the retreat huts in the back area of Bodhi Heart, usually used by monastic members, monks who come visit, nuns who come visit. These are individual retreat huts. Next. That's it. So we come back to these lantern offerings. So with these visuals in mind, we make offerings now on page 38. So Cecile, if you can read page 38.
With the best of flowers and exquisite garlands, music, ointments, supreme parcels, divine lights, and the finest incense, I make offerings to the victorious ones. With the finest garments, sweet fragrances, and powdered incense piled high as Mount Meru, and with everything in exalted and sublime display, I make offerings to the victorious ones. I also imagine vast of unsurpassed offering made to all of the victorious ones. Through the power of my faith in excellent conduct, I prostrate and offer to all of the victorious ones.
Meto damba drengwa damba dang sunye namdan jugbar dujo da marme chodan dupo damba ye gyawa deda lani chubarangi nabza damba namdan drijo dan chema purma rira nyamba dan kobe gebara babe jugungi gyawa deda layan chobargi choba gana lame gyanjeba deda gyawa tamje layan mo zambo jola debe domdangi gyawa kunla chase chobargi. Now page 48. Jasper, if you can read, starting with I confess whatever wrong to the end of this page.
I confess whatever wrong I have done with my body, speech, and also my well-being, overpowered by attachment, hatred, and ignorance. I rejoice in the merits of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions, the solitary Buddhas, those on the path of learning, those beyond learning, and all beings.
Doja shidan dimu wangi ni ludang adan deshin yigi gyan tikpa dagi giba jiji bar deda tamje dagi sosor sha joju gyawa kundang sanje se rangya namdang lodang me lodang jowa kunji sonam gangla ya deda kunji je se dayi rang. Page 49. Elena, can you read this page?
All of those lights in the worlds of the 10 directions, who having passed through the stage of Buddhahood, attained awakening free from attachment. To all of these protectors, I beseech you to turn unsurpassed will of Dharma. To all those who intend to demonstrate nirvana, with my palms joined together, I beseech you to remain for the benefit or happiness of all beings, for as many kalpas as there are atoms in the universe. Whatever is like virtues I may have gathered from prostration, offering, confessing, rejoicing, requesting, and beseeching, I dedicate it to the awakening of all beings.
Ganam juju jiden drama da chanju rempa sanje majane gompo de da dagi tamje la kolo lana meba gorwa gu nyangye da tong kanje de da la rowa gun la pension de veje gyaba jingi dune sumpa ya dagi tamo rabja so warji jase wadan chujing shamba da jise irang kujing so wa yin kewa jungse dagi chisaba tamje zobe chanju jirngo. In accordance with the 35 Sugatas aspiration to exhaust the karmic veils of those who remember their excellent names and pay homage to them, please bestow the fruits of this wish. Now, page 50, the start of the main practice. For those of you who have, I think very few, but some of you have the Urban Dharma recitations book that is yellow in color. This practice is in there. They're called the Sutra of the Three Heaps. So this main part of this practice is in the recitations book. Throughout all time, all sentient beings take refuge in the Guru, take refuge in the Buddha, take refuge in the Dharma, take refuge in the Sangha. Homage to the Bhagavan Tathagata Arhat, the perfectly complete Buddha Shakyamuni. Leonard, next section.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Homage to the one who has fully conquered with Vajra essence. Homage to jewel radiating light. Homage to the sovereign king of Nagas. Homage to the leader of the brave.
Adriana?
Homage to glorious joy. Homage to jewel fire. Homage to jewel moonlight. Homage to meaningful to behold.
Tracy?
Homage to Jewel Moon, homage to the Stainless One, homage to Glorious Giving, homage to the Pure One.
Samantha?
Homage to Giving of Purity, homage to the Water God, homage to the God of Water Gods, homage to Good Glory.
Anna Isabel?
Homage to glorious sandalwood, homage to infinite brilliance, homage to glorious light, homage to glory without sorrow.
Vicky?
Homage to the sun of non-craving, homage to glory of flowers.
Daniela?
Sorry. Homage to the Tathagata radiant pure display of complete omniscience.
Christina? Christina?
I'm coming.
Mm-hmm. Page 52.
Gotta get to it now. My computer's powering up on me.
Page 52, the line that says, homage to the Tathagata completely.
Homage in the Tathagata completely omission display in the lotus light. homage to the glory of wealth, homage to the glory of mindfulness.
Joyce?
Homage to widely renowned glorious name. Homage to the king, victory banner that crowns the sovereign.
Rowan?
Homage to the glorious one who fully subdues. Homage to sublime victor in battle.
Judy?
Homage to the one gone beyond through complete victory. Homage to glorious illuminating array. Homage to the all-subduing lotus jewel.
Waiting.
Homage to the king of Mount Meru, the Tathagata Arahat, perfectly complete Buddha, abiding on a jewel lotus.
All these and all the Tathagatas, all the Arhats, however many perfectly complete Buddhas abide in all the worlds of the 10 directions, and all the Buddhas, the transcendent conquerors who prevail in this world. Please heed me. Melissa, can you read the first half of page 54?
In this and former lives, without beginning, in all the states of birth within samsara, I have committed evil deeds. I have instigated others and I have stolen the wealth of stupas, the Sangha community, and the Sangha of the 10 directions.
Larry, the rest of this page.
I have incited others to steal and found joy in their thefts. I have committed the 5 immediate sins, have incited others to commit them, and have found joy in their downfalls. I have fully entered the path of engaging in the 10 unwholesome deeds, have incited others to enter it, and have found joy in their submission.
Laura, can you read the first half of page 55? Until having failed to please the Buddhas I encountered.
Obscured by all the karmic veils, I and sentient beings have gone to hell, have gone to the birthplaces of animals, have gone to the worlds of hungry ghosts, have taken birth in savage places as barbarians, as long-lived gods, and as humans with impaired sense faculties. I have turned to corrupted views and karmic obscurations from having failed to please the Buddhas I encountered.
Mariana, the rest of this page.
I have fully entered the path to engaging in the 10 unwholesome deeds. I have incited others to enter it, and I have found joy in their submission.
Rodrigo, top of page 56, until those born in the animal realm. And then after that, Miriam, the rest of that page.
All Buddhas, transcendent conquerors, please heed us. I gather all the roots of virtue I have accumulated in cyclic existence through having acted generously towards another samsaric sentient beings, even only offering a mouthful of food to those born in the animal realm, together with any root of virtue from having guarded moral discipline, any root virtue from having practiced pure conduct, any root of virtue from having brought sentient beings to full maturity, any root of virtue from having given rise to bodhicitta, the mindset on supreme awakening.
Miriam, page 57, until just the top 2 sections, until perfectly complete awakening.
And root of virtue from unsuppressed primordial awareness accumulate in these and former lives without beginning with samsara. All these I dedicate them perfectly. supremely most, supremely and sublimely towards unsurprised, perfectly complete awaiting.
Ana Elisa, the rest of this page.
Just as the previous Bhagavan Buddhas perfectly performed dedication, and just as the Bhagavan Buddhas have not yet appeared to perfectly perform dedication, and just as the present Bhagavan Buddhas perfectly perform dedication, likewise shall I perform perfect dedication. I confess each and every wrongdoing and rejoice in all merit.
Alexander, page 58. Alexander, if you are there, page 58. I exhort and supplicate all Buddhists that I may attain unsurpassed, most excellent primordial wisdom. With my palms together joined, I wholeheartedly take refuge in all those with praiseworthy qualities, as infinite as a vast ocean. All the Buddhas supreme among humans who exist at present, those who have passed into nirvana, and those who have not yet appeared. Now, let's go back to page 50. So again here, for those of you, especially if you would like to do some prostrations, this is a good time to do prostrations as I chant the names, homages to the Tathagatas in Tibetan. Yeah. Semjen tamje tamba lama la gyabzu jiwa sanje la gyabzu jiwa chola gyabzu jiwa kenden la gyabzu jiwa chen dende deshin shepa chachon pa yanda pra sope sanje shakya tupa la chaselo duje nimpo rabdu jompa la chaselo rinjen otro la chaselo lu wangi gyabo la chaselo pavo de la chaselo Pelge la chaselo rinjen me la chaselo rinjen dao la chaselo tongwa donyo la chaselo rinjen dawa la chaselo drima meba la chaselo pa jin la chaselo champa la chaselo champe jin la chaselo chu la chaselo chu le la chaselo pelzang la chaselo Zenden bella jazalo, Siji daye la jazalo, Obella jazalo, Nyangen mebe bella jazalo, Semegi bula jazalo, Medo bella jazalo, Deshin sheba zambe oze nambara roba umbara gemba la jazalo, Deshin sheba beme oze namba roba umbara gemba la Jazalo, no bella jazalo, jimbe bella jazalo, jimbe shintu yondra la jazalo, wampo dogi gyazengi gyabo la jazalo, shintu nambara nombe bella jazalo, yule shintu nambara gyawa la jazalo, Nambara nombe shebe bella jazalo, kune nangwa kobe bella jazalo, rinjen bema nambara nomba la jazalo, deshin sheba dajumba, yanda bara zobe sanje rinpoche, bema la rabdu shubari, wangi gyabo la jazalo. All these and all the Tathagatas, all the Arhats, however many perfectly complete Buddhas abide in all the worlds of the 10 directions, and all the Buddhas, the transcendent conquerors who prevail in this world. Please heed me. Kimberly, if you can read page 54.
I have In this and former lives without beginning, in all the states of birth within samsara, I have committed evil deeds. I have instigated others and found joy in their crimes. I have stolen the wealth of stupas, the Sangha community, and the Sangha of the 10 directions. I have incited others to steal and found joy in their thefts. I have committed the 5 immediate sins, have incited others to commit them, and found joy in their downfalls. I have fully entered the path of engaging in the 10 unwholesome deeds, have incited others to enter it, and have found joy in their submission.
We can't hear you, Dr. Lai.
Maurice, page 55. Can you unmute and read page 55? If you're there, Maurice, can you unmute and read page 55? If not, Antonio, page 55.
Obscured by all these karmic veils, I and sentient beings have gone to hell, have gone to the birthplaces of animals, have gone to the world of hungry ghosts, have taken birth in savage places as barbarians, as long-lived gods, and as humans with impaired sense faculties. I have turned to corrupted views and karmic obscurations from having failed to please the Buddhas I encountered. In the presence of the Bhagavan Buddha's wisdom mind, before their eyes, in their witness, before the authentic ones, the all-knowing one, the all-seeing one. I disclose all these karmic obscurations. I declare them, I shall not hide them, and hereafter I shall not sever and bind them.
And then page 56. This is the rejoicing and dedicating section. So I notice, I think Kimberly is actually in her vehicle. So I rejoice in your dedication in joining us. Must be very cold. Sandra, please, can you read page 56?
All Buddhas, transcendent conquerors, please heed me. I gather all the roots of virtue I have accumulated in cyclic existence through having acted generously towards another samsaric sentient being, even only offering a mouthful of food to those born in the animal realm. Together with any root of virtue from having guarded moral discipline, any root of virtue from having practiced pure conduct, any root of virtue from having brought sentient beings to full maturity, any root of virtue from having given the mindset on supreme awakening.
Page 57. Randy, can you please read that page?
Any root of virtue from unsurpassed primordial awareness, accumulated in this and former lives without beginning within samsara, all these I dedicate them perfectly, supremely, most supremely, and sublimely towards unsurpassed perfect complete awakening. Just as the previous Bhagavan Buddhas perfectly performed dedication, and just as the Bhagavan Buddhas who have not yet appeared will perfectly perform dedication, and just as the present Bhagavan Buddhas perfectly perform dedication, likewise shall I perform perfect dedication. I confess each and every wrongdoing and rejoice in all merit.
And then page 58, Lucrezia.
I exhort and supplicate all Buddhas that they may attain unsurpassed, most excellent primordial wisdom. With my palms joined together, I wholeheartedly take refuge in all those with praiseworthy qualities, as infinite as a vast ocean. All the Buddhas, supreme among humans, who exist at present, those who have passed into nirvana, and those who have not yet appeared.
So now, please turn back to page 50. This third recitation, this time, I'm going to try to chant everything in Tibetan. So what you can do is, you can, if you're doing prostrations, of course, during the section of paying homage, you do prostration. Then during the laying bare and, you know, putting down, leaving behind the negative karma, and the rejoicing and dedicating section, you can sit down and just read yourself in English. But I'm going to chant this whole main practice in Tibetan because there was a request for me to do that. So this is on page 50. Then, of course, if you're curious, you want to join in with the Tibetan, you can also do that. Whatever inspires you. Then the main thing is to understand what we're doing here. Try to remember what we've been saying and mean what we say. Yeah. Zemchen tamche thapa lama la gyabzu jiwa sanje la gyabzu jiwa jola gyabzu jiwa genden la gyabzu jiwa chen dende dejin sheba drajumba yangda bara sobe sanje shangya tuba la chaselo doje nimpo rabdu jumba la chaselo rinjin odro la chaselo Lo wangi gyabo la jazalo, pavo de la jazalo, pelge la jazalo, rinjen me la jazalo, rinjen dao la jazalo, tongwa tongyo la jazalo, rinjen dawa la jazalo, rima me pa la jazalo, pa jimpa la jazalo, champa la jazalo, champe jin la jazalo, chu la jazalo, Chu le la la chasalo, piazan la chasalo, Zenden bella chasalo, Siji taye la chasalo, O bella chasalo, Nyangye mebe bella chasalo, Semegi bula chasalo, Medo bella chasalo, Dijin sheba champe oze namba roba ngong par kembala chasalo, Deshin sheba beme oze namba roba ngombaran gembala jazalo, Nor bella jazalo, Jembe bella jazalo, Tempe shindu yondrala jazalo, Wangpo togi gyazingi gyabola jazalo, Shindu nambara nombe bella jazalo, Yule shindu nambara gyawala jazalo, Nambara nombe shebe bella jazalo, Kune nangwa ko be bela jazalo, Rinchen bema nambara nombala jazalo, Deshin sheba drajumba, Yandambra sobe sanje rinpoche, Bema la rabdu shubari, Wangi gyabola jazalo, Teda la soba, Jojo jidengi, Kam tamche na, Deshin sheba drajumba, Yandabar zobe sanje gangjine jichik sukde so shin shibe sanje jumdende deda tamje dala gong su so dagi kewa di dang kewa toma dang tama ma jina chibane korwa na korwe gene tamje du digbele gi pada Gidu Tsawadang Gibala Jizayirang Chudengin Kora Gindengin Koram Joju Gindengin Koro Pada Kudu Sawadang Chopala Jizayirang Wan Samma Jibangele Gibada Gidu Tsawadang Gibala Jizayirang Wan Migeba Chuleki Lam Yang Dampara Lang Wa La Shubada Jung Tu Sawada Jupala Jesu Yirang Wa Leki Dripa Gangi Drine Dansem Chen Neura Jiwa Tundra Gene Sujiwa Idaki Yudu Jiwa Yuta Kom Tu Kiwam La Lor Kiwam La Tsering Po Namsu Kiwam Wang Po Ma Changbar Gyurwa Tawa Lokbar Zimpar Gyurwa Sanje Jungwa La Nirva Mi Gipara Gyurba Leki Dripa Gang Lakba Deda Tamje Sanje Chom Dende Yeshe Su Gyurba Chindu Gyurba Pangdu Gyurba Semar Gyurba Kempa Seba De Dagi Chenga Dholo Cha O Mi Cha Mo Mi Bedo Lenje Kyan Chojin Tombara Gila So Sanje Chom Dende Da Tamje Dala Gong So So Dagi Kewa Di Dang Kewa Toma Dang Tama Ma Chi Pane Korwa Na Korwa Korwe Kewa Jenda Du Jimba Dana Dunjo Gene Su Ge Bala Ze Kom Chik Tsam Sewe Gewe Tsawa Gang La Pada Dagi Su Trim Sumpe Gewe Tsawa Gang La Pada Dagi Tsang Para Jo Bala Nebe Gewe Tsawa Gang La Pada Dagi Semchen Yong Su Min Par Gebe Gewe Tsawa Gang La Pada Dagi Changchun Chokdu Sem Gebe Gewe Tsawa Gang La Pada Dagi Lana Mebe Yeshengi Gewe Tsawa Gang La Pada Deda Tamche Chikdu Du Shin Dum De Done Lana Maji Pada Gong Nama Ji Padang Gong Me Yang Gong Ma La Me Yang La Mar Go Ima Yong Su Ngo Be La Na Me Be Yang Da Bar Zo Be Chang Chun Du Yong Su Ngo Rwa Gi Wo Jida De Be Sanje Chom Den De Nam Gi Yong Su Ngo Pada Jidar Ma Chom Be Sanje Chom Den De Nam Gi Yong Su Ngo Rwa Gyur Pada Jita Da Da Shube Sanje Chom Den De Nam Gi Yong Su Ngo Rwa Zeba De Shin De Dagi Kyang Yong Su Ngo Rwa Gi O Tengpa Tamche Ni So So Sha So So Nan Tamche La Je Se Yi Rang O Sanje Tamche La Kushin Shin So Wa Dem So Dagi La Na Me Be Yi Shin Kin Chok Dampa Tongpa Gyur Je Mi Chok Gyawa Gang Dan Ta Tar Sung Pa Da Gang Da De Da De Pa Da Dan De Shin Gang Ma Jo Yong Ten Ang Pa Ta Ye Gya Zo Da Kun La Theo Mo Jarwa Gi De Gyab Su Ne War Je Ho. So now let's look at Gampopa's instructions on teachings on the four powers. So we have already covered. So the four powers is the power of remorse, of regret, the power of the remedy or the antidote. Then there is the power of resolve and the power of reliance. So when these four powers are brought together and applied together, then negative karma and the imprints left behind by negative karma, in a sense, those imprints are even more dangerous than the negative karma that would ripen. When we create negative actions, karma, negative karma, the negative results that come, they are one problem, obviously. But the bigger problem in a way, it's actually the imprints, or they say the perfuming, or in this case, the bad smell that comes with the creation of negative karma, which is talking about the habits that negative actions, the power of negative actions also come in the form of our minds become habituated to the creation of negative actions, unskillful actions. So in other words, like if you're in the habit of lying, then that is your first resolve to solving any problems that come your way. You just lie. Or if you're in a habit of harming and killing, then again, whatever situation that arises, you just immediately go in that direction. So that is what we call karmic habits or karmic propensities, bhakta. They can also be virtuous bhakta, virtuous karmic propensities. So now what we need to do is to cleanse, to clear not only the negative results of actions, but also the karmic conditioning, more so the karmic conditioning, the karmic perfuming that is negative, that we need to purify. And we rely on these four powers. So in the context of the 35 Buddhas, then the remedy is the what we have been doing, the recitation and paying homage to the 35 Buddhas, then the laying bare of our faults and leaving them behind, dropping them, and then the rejoicing in whatever little virtue that we have, that we can recognize, that we are aware of. In practicing any and all of the six perfections, we dedicate that to complete awakening. So in to tie the teachings of Gampopa on the four powers to our practice, our text here. So under the topic of the three parts, three reflections to give rise to regret or remorse, there is one that says to consider the fear that comes from creating negativity. The fear that comes from creating negativity. So in Khenchen Rinpoche's translation, it's on page 157. Second, the fearsome results at the time of death. Literally, it is called the fearsome results at the time of death. As I said, this death, of course, it does mean, death. But it can also mean, when things don't go our way, when we feel like, we are out of, not in control, and there's tremendous pain and suffering. So here in our text, if you look at that section where it says, 55, it says, obscured by these karmic veils, I and sentient beings have gone to the hell realms, have gone to the birthplaces of animals, have gone to the world of hungry ghosts, have taken birth in savage places as barbarians, as long-lived gods, as humans with impaired sense faculties. So this is this part, which is to recognize, how our unskillful and negative actions have brought us time and again to the hell realms, to the realm of the animals. So here, quite literally, rebirth in hell realms, in the animal realms, in the realm of hungry ghosts, but also within this life, we have gone to the hell realms, we have gone to the animal, we have become animalistic, as they say. That means completely just driven by instincts of self-preservation, that we have behaved like animals, as we would say, and we have become like hungry ghosts, very needy, always, like people are not good to me, people are not taking care of me, people are not thinking of me. We have gone to those places. We have been thrown into the hell realms. We have been thrown in savage places, We look around at our neighbors, then we think, oh my God, or a workplace, sometimes it feels, I'm in a savage place, I'm among barbarians, And what is this problem of long-lived gods? So there is a realm, a very high, in fact, God realm, where they live for long periods of time. You cannot imagine how long. But the problem with this long-lived God's realm is no further progress in your spiritual evolution takes place. So this is talking about a self-satisfied state of seeming peace and stability. So even that can become an obstacle. When things are going so well that you think, oh, I must be Buddha now. Or at least like, oh, I must be so advanced now. So then you're stuck there. So it has a facsimile, it has a resemblance to actual Buddha's kind of state of peace. And all afflictive emotions have been purified. But in fact, it is not. It is just a static, a state of being stuck in self-satisfaction. That is also a trap. That is also a suffering. And as humans with impaired sense faculties. So this does not need to mean, like, oh, you are literally blind or you literally cannot hear. Although if you have those obstacles, obviously it makes it harder to encounter the Dharma and to practice the Dharma. But then, of course, these days, with many different technologies, we can overcome that problem, even if we literally have impaired sense faculties. But even if our sense faculties are all intact, it is also very possible, when we see, we do not see. When we hear, we do not hear. Right? How many times have we kind of responded in this way to Dharma and to Dharma teachings and to teachers? We hear, we don't really hear. We see, we don't really see. So our senses are impaired. So when we see this, when we see how dangerous this is, then fear will arise. And when that fear arises, we should direct that fear. Don't say, oh, we should not fear. In fact, fear would arise. So more generally, when we have done something unskillful, something negative, our conscience is such that we will have fear arising. We will have suspicion arising. Our mind cannot be at ease. So right now, when our mind becomes ill at ease because we know we have created negativity, before we have this practice, before we know how to practice, when this fear arises, when this guilt arises, then it compounds, it makes our suffering worse. So no surprise, as a result, we try to block it out, and we become dead to our faults. We don't want to see them. We want to hide them. So that's why the necessity of revealing them, uncovering our faults, which is really what we translate as confession in Tibetan. Yeah, Shakpa, Tongsha is actually to expose, to open, to reveal. So now we reveal, we see. So of course, a sense of guilt will come, a sense of suspicion. We are always lying about things. We are harming others. We have stolen. We have said unkind things. So we are not we are not comfortable. So now this discomfort, instead of causing you to shut down and not want to think about those faults, and also instead of become so guilt-ridden that you think there's no hope, and you feel so bad about yourself, here we direct this fear, we direct this guilt, we direct this ease and discomfort to the purpose of giving rise to remorse. And say, I really, that has been done is really harmful. I need to drop that. I need to let go of that. I need to see the pointlessness of that, the ridiculousness of that, the meaninglessness of that. Drop it. So, coming back to jewel ornament, yeah. Then now the third of the four powers. So yesterday we covered the power of the remedy. So there basically two main points, I think, which is the ultimate power of remedy is the remedy of increasing our understanding, our experience, and finally our realization of more and more profound understandings of the emptiness of inherent existence. Right now we can study, we can read, we can look at the many ways of using reasoning, why things lack essences, why things lack self, why things do not have inherent existence. What is the meaning of inherent existence? So we can study, we can try to use reasoning and logic and see all the different arguments that have been presented throughout Buddhist history. Many great masters have written that, appealing to our reasoning, appealing to our logic. So we can do that. So that's the wisdom that arises from listening, from learning. Then then we should not just listen and learn, like gathering a lot of information. We should also reflect on that, what we're learning. So reflecting means, when we're reading something about this, we say, what does this mean? I understand all the words, I understand the theory, but what does this mean in my experience? Am I able to see how this point can be applied to this particular incident in the past, this particular issue in the past that I've been stuck on? Okay. If I had applied this understanding, if I have applied this reasoning, wouldn't it have given me more space? Wouldn't have it given me more, less tight? Wouldn't it have made things less tight, less difficult, less? So in that way, we reflect on, mostly kind of reflect on in the past. In the past, when I was going through this very difficult period in my life, if I had this information, if I had this knowledge about emptiness, I could have applied it and things could have been different. So you reflect, and as you reflect and you contemplate, it gives rise to confidence. Confidence to do what? Confidence to next time when again these types of difficulties arise, we will know to apply this what we have learned. Then finally, the wisdom that arises from meditating, which is to train the mind in a more formal way. To habituate is the meaning of practice. That means in order to habituate, to make it into a habit to apply our understanding of emptiness, we have to, first of all, remember. To remember is to be mindful. It's not to forget, these teachings that we have learned, and to apply it, and through diligent application, through repeating, through habituating, then that becomes part of our being, part of how we operate. I like to use the analogy of like we are rerouting our circuit, our inner circuits. Right now, our inner circuits are all routed in a way that leads to suffering. Now we want to reroute our inner passageways so that they are routed in the direction of true happiness. So this is what we need to do. So emptiness, it says, it quotes from one sutra that says that is how we purify negative karma, by meditation on emptiness. Then that I call the ultimate, the absolute way of removing, clearing karmic obscurations. Then there are the relative methods, and it's not like you, oh, that is absolute, I will just do that. It cannot work like that. Absolute and relative is always two sides of the same coin, so you apply both. You basically melt these two. So on the relative side of the remedy, it gives the reciting of the profound sutras, the reciting of mantras, making offerings to the Tathagata stupas, holy places, making images of the Buddhas, like those tata I was talking about, or commissioning statues, painting tankas, buying them as gifts to give others, or even to put on your own shrine, helping others to acquire Buddha images if others don't have them. So all these things, listening to teachings, reading texts, writing texts, distributing texts, making Dharma available to others, all of this. So now in the technology time, what can we do? We can support worthwhile efforts, websites that we know are very helpful to others. We can support that. Translation projects done online, made available online, like the 84,000 project, supporting that. And important, when you support that, you think, may this purify my karmic obscurations. So these 2 weeks, it is said, in one Vinaya text, it is said, in these 2 weeks, all virtues that we create are multiplied by 10 million times the effect. 10 million times. So engage in, acts of virtue, not because you're greedy, oh, I want 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, but skillful greedy, as in, I can create so much potential good that can be dedicated to all beings. So this period of time is said to be especially good. So jewel ornament, page 160, now the power of resolve, the third. Through fear of the causes ripening in the future, one ceases to commit evil deeds. So then a quote from Bodhicayavatara. I beseech all the guides of the world to please accept my evils and wrongs. Since these are not good, in the future I shall do them no more. So this is how we make that resolve. In the presence of the 35 Buddhas, we said, you know, all these unskillful actions, things that I have done in this life, knowingly, half knowingly, unknowingly, these things that I have done in previous lives, even if I don't remember it now, I'm sure at some point, these things I have done. Now, all of this, you know, I see their faults. Now, I leave them with you, so to say. So here it almost sounds like, you know, an offering. Please accept my evils and wrongs. As in, you can put them down in front of the Buddhists. They will take care of this trash. They will do the recycling. They know how to recycle this trash. They know how to recycle this nonsense. We leave them. And then we say, in the future, I shall not do them. So we have to make this resolve. If we don't make this the resolve, if we simply just regret and apply the remedy, then we go back again and do it. 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 Then rinse and repeat forever. And yet never clean. Because we go back again, we go back again. Now, of course, until we are Buddhists, we know we are going to go back again. So it's not like, you know, once I make the resolve, you know, for sure I'm not going to go back again. But at least we need the mindfulness of saying, no. Let's not go back again. Let's not repeat these patterns of suffering again. Let's not create suffering again. So we have to make this resolve. All evil deeds are purified by the power of resolve, as if turning the course of a dangerous river. So a dangerous river that might otherwise flood downstream, you manage it by turning, managing the course of this river. So this is like the example I gave. The networking, the circuits, like the electric circuit that is internal. Right now it's, you know, joined and routed so that it automatically it goes in the direction of suffering. So the resolve is to reroute, rewire your insight so that it goes in the direction of virtue. So then it gives the example of Nanda. Nanda was one of Buddha's cousins. And so there's a story of Nanda, how the Buddha changed Nanda. Changed Nanda. Nanda was very, very attached to his attachment to beautiful women. He could not get enough of them. So the Buddha used skillful ways to show him the kind of the pain that comes from, you know, becoming addicted to. So this section on resolve is short, brief, but the point is, you know, we have to make this resolve and say, I shall not do this again. Even if it is just for a day, good. Then the next day you find yourself doing the same thing again, then you have to say, oh wait, that was really ridiculous. That is really foolish. You know, now I'm not going to do this again. So even just knowing the power of resolve, it can help so much. Yeah. So now let's do the conclusion of the practice, and then I'll leave some time for question after that, because some of you need to do the conclusion so that you can go to bed, you can go to work, all of that. Yeah. So now please turn to page 63. Please act according to the pledge you took when you engaged in bodhisattva deeds, and thus purify the negativities and downfalls of myself and other beings. By apprehending your name, by repeating and calling it again and again, I supplicate you to purify exhaust and cleanse entirely the negativities, downfalls, and obscurations of all wandering beings. In these evil times, sentient beings' actions are degraded. Impure and unawakened, our minds are suffused with negative emotions. Our offerings are scanty, they are marred by stains and other faults. Please forgive us all these mistakes. The auspicious verses on 64. The light of boundless compassion clears away the evil states and dispels demonic forces, hindrances, and hosts of wickedness. May the splendid power of the victorious ones, equal to 100,000 suns, bring forth the happiness and fortune of infinite living beings. The stream of nectar flowing from the immaculate Dharmadhatu space fully cleanses the stains of evil tendencies. May the splendid power of the holy Dharma of the cessation and path bring forth the happiness and fortune of infinite living beings. In order to eliminate the endless torment of cyclic existence, you have not abandoned the heavy burden of your vows and aspirations. May the splendid power of the ocean of great and noble bodhisattvas bring forth the happiness and fortune of infinite living beings. Now, the Amitabha Sukhavati dedication, again dedicated to all those who are going through the bardo states, who are passing from this life to the next life. May they be reborn in the land of ultimate bliss of Amitabha. And then the Bodhicitta dedication, excellent and precious Bodhicitta, where it has not arisen, may it arise. Where it has arisen, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. Shove Shinkamde, Dashen Dine Sebo Girmata Gewa Senji Parma Chobaru, Deru Kene Nante Shadun Shu, Deke Dagi Monlam Tapadi, Chochu Sanje Chansen Tamje Ki Geme Drupa Jinji Labduzo, Teata Penza Dria Awa Bodha Naya Soha. Changju Semjo Rinpoche Magye Panam Gyegyurche Keba Nyamba Mebaya Gone Gongdu Bewar. A couple of quick announcements. First is that these daily practices, obviously, they continue to be available on the Facebook Live, which has been shared in a few pages. The Urban Dharma North Carolina Facebook page, on my own personal Facebook page, and also on the Penang Bodhihat Sanctuary Facebook page. Beyond that, if you go to the Drigong Dharma Kirti YouTube channel, there is a playlist of all the videos If Omar, you can share that link in the chat. Maybe people can copy that link quickly when you share it in the chat. Then those of you who, I suggest, you now go open the web browser, put in that link, then, bookmark that link. Then you'll be able to go, in case you want to go back and listen to any of this or do the practice. They are available, all the videos for this particular program. So that's one announcement. Second announcement to share, and so thanks to Omar and others who are helping with all these technical things. Saves me a lot of time, and also I also don't have the expertise to get it done. So we rejoice in what they continue to do. And also, another thing to share with you, which is very wonderful. So we have at least one participant from Bhutan, a good friend. So yesterday, after our practice, we talked on the phone. So she is going to arrange for several days of pujas to be done for all of you who participate in this practice, as well as those who have offered the lanterns, those who have offered the sang offering. So all the names that you are dedicating, the sang offering and the lantern offerings, all the names will be sent to Bhutan. Her family has a very well-known temple, a little temple in the Paro area. They are custodians. I guess you should not say, we don't actually say they own it, but they are caretakers. They are responsible for one of the 5 temples dedicated to. There is a set of 5 goddesses that are said to be disciples of Milarepa, but they are goddesses. They are called Seringma and her 4 sisters. So sometimes they're called the 5 Seringma sisters. They are guardian protector deities who are also bodhisattvas because they are disciples of Milarepa. So these 5 goddesses in this area in western Bhutan, in the Paro area, there are 5 chapels, 5 shrines dedicated to the 5 of them. I think the one that they are caretakers of is Tinghi Shashangma. I think I need to confirm that. The one who rides on a turquoise dragon. So there is a tradition in Bhutan that says that if in one day you can go to all 5 of these, then it's very auspicious. So anyway, she's going to arrange, because there is a monk caretaker of that chapel who is always in retreat and doing practices. So we are arranging for that monk to do several days of different pujas and practices for what we are doing. So if you submitted your names, for the lanterns or the sang offering, we're going to send all those names to this monk. And also, like in a few days, one of the head lamas of one of the main monasteries in Bhutan is coming to visit, and he is going to join in those prayers. It's like one of the important lamas in Bhutan. We're very fortunate. So this is good. We are expanding our connections and interdependence. Yeah. I will update you with more like details of the different pujas. We're discussing what pujas to do. And also then, of course, Chuki that's her name, she will share with us photos of some of the activities that will be taking place in Bhutan on our behalf. And I will share some of the photos. The taking of those photos, they have to be careful. The Bhutanese state government law is do not permit the taking of photos of these historically important sites inside. So you cannot show the insides with the statues and all that. But we're going to still take photos that will show the ritual, not showing the statues that are inside. The reason why the Bhutanese government has these laws is because too many thefts have taken place. People go in and take pictures of the old statues and tankas, and then greed from other people going to rob these places. So in part, the government has instituted this law. But nonetheless, we will see some photos of the lamas doing the rituals. And I said to Chuki Om, take pictures of the outside, and she said, oh yeah, no problem with that. So at least you all can have a visual connection to this place. Then perhaps, if you all have the fortune to go to Bhutan, then you can go visit. Yeah. So any questions, comments regarding today's practice and the brief teachings that on the third of the 4 powers?
Dr. Lai, I have a question.
Yes.
When applying, let's say I'm meditating on karma.
And what do you mean by that? Say more when you say you're meditating on karma.
I'm focusing on the 4 powers and I'm reflecting. That's exactly my question. Let's say I'm reflecting. Let's say I have read, I apply the wisdom of knowledge, I have read, I've studied, and then I sit down to meditate. Okay, I reflect, like you said, maybe if I have known this, I wouldn't have done this. I reflect on that. And then when applying the wisdom of meditation, I find myself reflecting again. I said, because I'm supposed to be meditating on a subject, on a specific.
Yeah.
But I find myself reflecting again. So I said,
yes.
How do I do the meditating without reflecting and going on all over the
yes.
How do you focus to one point on, let's say, on
so there are different approaches to this. I know you a little bit. We met in Peru first time, last time too, so let's make next time sooner. Anyway, auspiciously we met in Peru when you guys, you and Jose and others went all the way to Peru to attend His Holiness's Kalachakra empowerment and teachings, and then traveled to Sacred Valley and all of that. How wonderful. So I know a little bit about your background. So I would say first, before I say anything, you should consult with the teachers that you have from the Gelug lineage, because they emphasize this reflecting and meditating a lot. Across lineages, there are, everybody says, you should listen, reflect, and meditate, or listen, learn, contemplate, and meditate. Everybody says this, of course, but then every lineage also has their own, emphasis. So Kagyupa is more on the meditate side, less on the reflect and the listening side. And Gelugpa more on the listening and the contemplating side, less on the meditating side. Relatively speaking, I'm not saying that, they don't meditate, or I'm not saying that Kagyupas don't listen, don't learn, but as a style, right? So from the little that I know, in the Gelugpa tradition, especially on the Lamrim meditation, there's a lot of emphasis on doing all three. So you learn, you receive teachings from the Lama, right? Then you are to reflect, and here I think they use the vocabulary of analytical meditation, right? Chegum, right? And placement, and Jogum. Chegum and Jogum, these two, analytical meditation followed by placement or resting meditation. So in analytical, that is the equivalent of reflecting. And the way it works is, generally, like I said, I'm not the expert here. You will learn a lot more from Geluk teachers. Is so you reflect. So the point, for example, you reflect on like regret, the first power of regret. Then 1.1 of regret is the meaninglessness of non-virtuous actions. Yeah. So so it's very systematic. The way that the Gelugpa tradition of training in this aspect is very specific. So remembering 4, right? 4 powers. Then 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Getting all of that clear. That is part of the listening wisdom, the learning wisdom. Then reflecting wisdom, you sit down. Now 1.1, the meaninglessness of unskillful actions. So first you calm your mind. Then when you sufficiently calm, then you think, in the last day, what have I done unskillfully that is really absurd and ridiculous? You scan through the last 24 hours. You identify. Then if you scan through the last 24 hours, nothing that is particularly that strong, that memorable, and therefore that ridiculous, then maybe you extend it to the last 48 hours, then maybe the last week, then maybe the last 6 months or year or whatever, right? The point is to find enough examples. See, this is not about like therapy. It's a little different from therapy, like Western therapy. It's not that kind of reflecting. As far as I understand, in full disclosure, I have never myself gone to therapy in the Western style. Whatever I know is just anecdotally, right? But I'm pretty sure it's different. I mean, there are similarities, but there's also major difference. Yeah. Here, when you do this reflecting, you're not like trying to go fix the past. You're just looking for examples. And more importantly, you look for examples to arrive at a conviction. I think this is where it might be a little different from, therapy. You arrive at a conviction that yes, unskillful actions are meaningless, pointless. Yeah? So all that is analytical meditation, which is the equivalent of reflecting. Then once you reach almost like, yes, unskillful actions are ridiculous. That is the beginning of the Jogum, placement meditation. Then you rest in ridiculous. 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 That's the meditation part. Yeah. Unskillful actions are meaningless, pointless, ridiculous. Now, no more, you know. Oh, that incident, oh, that, no. You leave that behind. Now you just stay. That's the meaning of placement. You are placed in that conviction. It is ridiculous. At the beginning, you're not able to stay in placement so easily because our minds are busy. Then once you begin to waver away from, you know, resting in, so to say, the ridiculousness, the meaninglessness, then you go back again to do analytical. Or you move on to the next analytical, 1.2. The fear that can arise from knowing that you have done these things. You do analytical on there and arrive at the conclusion that this fear needs to be routed in service of giving rise to regret. Oh, yes. Another reason why these unskillful actions are such a waste of time. Then again, place the mind, and that's meditation. Yeah.
Very much.
Yeah. So at the beginning, they say, you will be spending more time in analytical and lesser time in placement. But over time, analytical becomes less and less because there's less need to do that, because the conviction here is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. So then placement becomes stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and longer and longer and longer and longer. Yeah. In Kagyu Mahamudra, just as a side note, you know, mostly placement, not much analytical. And so historically, these debates between lineages, Sakyapa and Gelupa will criticize Kagyupa and said, you know, you don't even know what you're placing your mind on. You know, what is this placement? And then the Kagyupa and Nyingma side will criticize the other side. You know, you're always just thinking. You know, how can you think yourself out of problems? You know, the more you think, the more thoughts will come. We don't need, I think, to get into those arguments. You know, we just need to see both sides. What are they teaching us? You know, take that to heart, practice.
Very good explanation, Dr. Lai. Thank you so much.
Sure. Other questions, comments?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Back to basics. What does it take for action to be skillful? I mean, fully skillful, because sometimes you can act out of a good intention, and maybe the other person thinks, "Oh, I got offended," or it doesn't turn out the way.
Yeah. Okay, so here, skillful and unskillful has a specific reference. So this is a good question. We're not saying skillful as in mission accomplished. Yeah, skillful and unskillful is not measured by mission accomplished. You know, I skillfully robbed the bank today. See, here is the money. Right? No, not skillful in that way. Okay. So in the same way, you know, I hope you're not planning to rob a bank, but if you are, rob a big bank, okay? You'll still be jailed for the same. So if you're going to rob a bank, make sure it's a big bank, but hopefully not, okay? But like you said, you know, like, oh, I have good intentions, I want to help someone, and then I fail, right? Yeah, that is a different skillful. Here, skillful or unskillful is defined by, it is always unskillful if the three poisons are involved. Any of the three poisons. Ignorance, not motivated by ignorance, motivated by attachment, or motivated by aversion. Yeah? So there's a famous quote by Nagarjuna that says, if any action that is tainted by these three poisons, they are unskillful. They are non-virtuous. Any actions that are motivated by the opposite of these three, meaning clarity, no confusion, meaning love and compassion instead of aversion, non-grasping instead of attachment. Any actions that come from that is skillful, is virtuous. Now, obviously, then there are degrees of skillful or not skillful. So it's not like, black, white, yeah? It's black, white, gray. So at the beginning, completely not skillful. More skillful, more skillful, more skillful, more skillful, more skillful, totally skillful. At the beginning, completely non-virtuous. More virtuous, more virtuous, more virtuous, more virtuous, completely virtuous. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Lai?
Yes.
I've noticed some of my own motivations for
Mm-hmm.
doing certain things are tainted and have both virtuous and non-virtuous
Yes,
motivations.
of course. Mm-hmm.
So it's not even just a question of gradation. Sometimes there's bad karma.
Oh, yes. Very complicated. It's all mixed up.
Yeah. There's a grain of ignorance or a grain of greed or a grain of
Yes,
something else.
of course.
The same action.
Absolutely. And that's why we keep doing this or something like this. On the relative level. On the ultimate level, we keep working on getting more understanding, more experience, more realization on the wisdom aspect. Because in the end, it's the wisdom aspect that will completely destroy all the little grains of non-virtue. Until then, it is all going to be mixed. Absolutely. Yeah.
Sorry, I did not understand the question clearly about the karma.
The question is not so much a question, it's a statement that
yes.
a lot of times when we do something, it is not purely due to one reason or one motivation. Yeah, and that's a very honest statement. If we look at our actions, it's all mixed up, with virtue and non-virtue. You want to help someone, but you also have some sort of, non-virtuous agenda that is hidden behind. Yeah, so like, I'm going to do this program and, lead this practice and teach, well, seemingly virtuous, but somewhere back there is probably, I wonder how many people notice that we are doing this. Right? It's mixed in there already.
Yeah. Just something simple, like if someone approaches you on the street begging for money, you may feel that you want to help the person and you're willing to give the money, but on the other hand, you may just say you want to get rid of this person and you have contempt for the person and you have these other feelings.
Yes.
So when you give the dollar, it's not just one motivation. It's a number of different virtuous and unvirtuous motivations.
Right. Yeah. So that's why we work on using so many methods, right? So that we see, a homeless person coming up asking, give me, if we give, yeah, part of it is, I'll help this person. But then there's another part. It's like, I just want this person to go away. But if we keep working on ourselves, you know, so that we see this person as a Buddha. And we give, you know, that's like giving an offering to, you know, the 35 Buddhas. You know, when you walk out your door, you know, go look for the 35 Buddhas, you know. So we keep working on, you know, purifying, clarifying our intentions, but not in that obsessive way. What is it? You know, that's not the way to do it either. Right? To walk around going, what motivation? What motivation? No, it'll drive you crazy. It'll become very tight. Don't do that. My own advice, suggestion. Don't do that. Because some of us, you know, when we first learn about the Dharma and all these details, we get very excited, you know, we want to do everything right. Then it becomes so tight. That's not how you practice Dharma.
One last quick question. At the end, it says, ask for forgiveness. Last, but are the Buddhas really going to forgive us? Because it's really related to forgiving ourselves, or it's a matter of translation?
It doesn't matter.
Okay, good. Don't give it too much thought.
Yeah, don't intellectualize too much, you know, like we have to mean it, you know, like, oh, please forgive me.
Okay, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. We have to mean it, you know, like, oh, please forgive me, you know, like sort of like almost like embarrassed, you know. So we have to mean it. So that's more important. Okay, now I will answer the question because there are cultural and religious baggage going on here. This forgiveness is not because if they don't forgive you, they're going to punish you. No, it's not because of that. But nonetheless, we ask for forgiveness. So the sense, the feeling of having done wrong has to be genuine. And I hesitate to say, in the end, it's asking us to forgive ourselves, because then the practice becomes, again, too much about ourselves. Sometimes pop psychology and Dharma can go in the wrong direction together. You know, really, not you know, this is quite a common problem, I think. There was one article shared on Facebook. There's a study done in some psychology journal that says that spiritual people have a high level of narcissism. Yeah, I don't know the data collection and all of that, you know. And of course, you can dispute that and say, you know, the data is not collected right, blah, blah, blah. But when I saw the title, instantly I say, oh, yeah, of course. I can see how that can be true. Because so much emphasis on ourselves, you know. And then especially Buddhist practice, so much emphasis on yourself, you know. So this is when I think really important to see that the whole practice is to get over ourselves. But then for us, it's also complicated because there's a lot of cultural baggage surrounding some of this vocabulary. So it's a good question, you know, when you say, please forgive, does it mean like, you know, going to confession, like asking God to forgive us, right? Yeah, that's important to clarify. Not in that sense, as in, you know, if God doesn't forgive us, then we will be punished or bad things will happen to us. But as for the emotion that is there, it has to be like, you know, I have done wrong. I have done wrong. And so for that, you know, I want to get forgiveness. And how do we know we got forgiveness? Is when we can go, however that occurs, maybe we don't need to control that part. So we need to unburden this guilt, which in a way, you know, it's how I believe, even like in Christian or Catholic confession, that's what it does, right? It unburdens you. So here we are also looking to unburden so that we can no need to carry this burden around. But this unburdening cannot be like not willing to take responsibility for the problems that we have created. You cannot say, oh, I've already confessed, you know. The confession is more about I have wronged. I have done wrong towards others. I have harmed others. I have, you know. So here is, I think I also want to point out here, sometimes in the more traditional Buddhist commentary, I feel, this is my own, maybe some people can criticize as ignorant or confused thoughts, so you don't need to, I'm not saying I'm quoting from the tradition, I'm saying my own kind of feeling about this. Sometimes in the traditional commentary, there is not enough, I feel, emphasis on getting us to recognize how we have wronged others. I feel that. More the language is how we have created wrong and harm ourselves. But I think there is a cultural and historical reason why in these texts that are mostly composed and developed in Asia, there is no emphasis so explicitly the wrong that you have done to others and the harm that you have done to others. I think there is a reason why the language tends to be, the reminder tends to be to see how this in the end harms yourself. Meaning then emphasizing more the inner aspects of the consequences, rather than emphasizing the outer aspects of the consequences of wrongdoing. And the reason is, I believe, because historically, right, in the cultures and societies where Buddhist teachings have evolved and developed, and the methods have developed, people are so much part of society, right? That the wrong that you have done that impacts other people, nobody needs to even tell you about that. You see it very clearly. And everybody else will also remind you. You know? Because society is such, you know, like everyone is involved in everyone's business. To some degree, I think even in Latin America, cultures are still very tight like that, you know. Your business is not just your business. Your business is everyone else's business. And everyone will let you know that it is also their business. Yeah. So already on the outside, you know, it's very clear how your wrongdoing have harmed others. I think to the degree that you even, you know, kind of protect yourself from it and think that, oh, I'm not wrong. It's just conditions are wrong. And so then these texts have emphasized, see how actually you are doing a lot of harm to yourself. So that aspect needs to be emphasized. For us here, I think in the West and also even in Asia today, in big cities, people have, we are so kind of like isolated in that sense, and we take everything to be self, with not much of like social and connection. Then I think here we have to pay attention to the harm that our actions have caused others, the pain that it has caused others, and recognize that and develop regret along those lines as well. So on top of what Gampopa has already emphasized, right, the 3 reflections, I think we need to add a little bit more about seeing how, so that it's not so, it won't feed our narcissism, me, so much. It balances out and see, can you see the harm you have caused others? Can you see the pain you have caused others?
Thank you, Dr.
Sure.
Dr. Lai?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a comment about that because in my past life, I'm familiar with the confession from the standpoint of both Catholicism, Protestants, and Judaism. And just as an aside, the Judaism idea of confession is quite interesting because you are supposed to ask the person who you have wronged for forgiveness. You don't ask God. You don't ask God to forgive you the wrong of other people. You are supposed to go to the person that you have wronged.
Yes.
But on the other hand, if you've done anything to offend God, you ask God for the forgiveness.
Yes.
Which I think is quite an interesting distinction.
Yes.
And one of the things that appeals to me and that makes sense in this tradition is that the emphasis is on admission and then correcting your behavior.
Yes.
In the future. So it's just a point I wanted to make about the distinction between who you are offending and who you harmed.
Yes. In the Jewish tradition, I think emphasis as well in Christian tradition on making restitution. On repairing the wrong.
Yes. And asking forgiveness of the person you've wronged.
Right, and making it right. There's emphasis of that sort. Here, I think that is taken care of in Asian Buddhist context, historically, traditionally. It's not like that doesn't happen, but that happens because of how society is constituted. So therefore, in these practices, which are inner training, there's no explicit mention of it. But if we don't recognize that, I sometimes fear that Buddhist teachings taken out of context, right, will feed our narcissism and think that, oh, even when we're done wrong, it's just myself. But no, I think making it right, restitution, offering, repairing the damage is also an aspect, I think, that we should not neglect. Good? Okay, so we'll go today. You all have a good evening. You all have a good afternoon. You'll have a good day. And see all of you tomorrow.
Thank you very much.
Gracias, Dr. Lai.
Thank you.
Gracias, Dr. Lai.
Gracias.
Hasta mañana.